Hey guys, here's a quick recording of a little mini lecture we did. We started this on last Thursday and we finished it today, February 29th. So if you were not here for either of those days, make sure you do this. Take some notes on the graphic organizer in the green crate and show that to me for a grade. The first thing is, I'm not going to waste a minute on it, but this kind of introduces us to the field of sociology, kind of looking at what do people do and then why do they do it. So check that out. This whole slideshow is on the website for Thursday, so you can check it out there. What we're looking at today is perspectives, ways people view the world. And this is a really cool and a really simple example of how we're accustomed to looking at the world map, or any map for that matter, with north being at the top. But that's just because that's how it always has been, and there's really no real great reason for it not to be this way, upside down, with south being up. So it's really just how you view the world. And what we're going to see is we're going to look at three main perspectives in sociology. Not one is right, not one is wrong, but together they kind of paint us a full picture. Here's another quick kind of funny example of, depending on your perspective, another kind of close synonym is like a point of view. Point of view matters quite a bit. And then we have a few kind of fun, here's a quick example of perception and perspective. They're very similar. And this illusion that we looked at last week. Here's a few more kind of funny illusions. Like, look at this. Do you see a duck or a rabbit? It depends on the way you turn your head, the way you orientate your head. So here are theoretical perspectives in sociology. Basically, it's a set of assumptions. It's like a way we view the world. Like the analogy is, a perspective is like putting glasses on that you see through the lens. They kind of shape what you see. You guys can read through this, take a look at that little graphic down there. We kind of break it into two groups, macro and micro. Macro being big and micro being small. So macro sociology deals with large-scale things like government or religion or education, whereas micro focuses more on kind of person-to-person or small group interactions. And we're going to see a little more about this. We shared out a few groups that we have between these two, but I'm going to skip over that. So here we go. We're starting the three different perspectives. Each kind of looks at human behavior and has a different explanation. And like I said, no one is better than the other. And here's a quick table if you want to pause on this and jot some of these notes down. This is really good. You can see that two of these perspectives are macro or big picture, and then only one is micro or small, interpersonal. Like these arrows kind of show here. And here it is a little bigger if you want to pause here. Here's the first one we're going to do, the functionalist perspective. Sometimes you'll see this as functionalism. We're really talking about the same thing. These are the founders. And like I said, guys, pause this wherever you need to take notes. It kind of views society as like a balance. So everything kind of works together. And if everything's working together, we have a stable, predictable society. It focuses on the structures that keep society stable. And basically it operates under this assumption that most people in society agree on what is highly valued. So the idea is if we all agree on what's important, we can achieve that pretty quickly. So the common areas of interest are right here: family, religion, education, and the economy. The economy has to do with money and trade. They focus on dysfunction, so the opposite of functioning is when things do not function, and how this could lead to social change. So a few examples are right here. A functionalist looks at the world, and there's kind of two possibilities. The main intended function is called the manifest function, and then unintended consequences or unexpected consequences can be the latent function. And here's some examples of what I mean by that. So you come to school, the whole idea is to learn math, science, reading, writing, history, and to get a diploma. But there's also these latent or unintended consequences, like you may make really good friendships at school, or you may find a boyfriend or girlfriend at school. And that's not the main purpose of school, but it happens at school, so that would be labeled kind of a latent function. So think about this one, the latent and manifest functions of automobiles in the U.S. Let's go back. The manifest function, the main function, that's how I remember it, the M and the M, are to get from A to B. So you get in your car, you turn the key, you hit the gas, and you go. But then there's all these other latent functions of automobiles in America. Like there's a car culture here, and there's accidents, and there's speeding tickets, and there's all these things. Like you don't get in your car and intend to get in an accident, but that is a latent function of driving. Here's a quick video. This is also posted to the website. I'm not going to go through it, but this teacher gives a really good breakdown, and this balance is the best metaphor we can use for this, that functionalism is all about balance, keeping things together. All right, second one, conflict perspective. This is literally the opposite of functionalism, and it looks at forces that promote competition and change in society. The whole idea, a conflict theorist would look at the world and view our whole existence as just competing over scarce resources. So we're all trying to get a limited amount of stuff, whether that's money or belongings. That's basically how a conflict theorist views the world. Karl Marx, if you remember from your famous sociologist research, is one of the biggest ones. He focuses mainly on conflict in terms of political power, having the majority of people, if they're dissatisfied with their leaders, to have a revolution, essentially. Conflict theorists view change as inevitable, like it's going to happen no matter what. And a lot of the focuses are right here: decision-making, relationships, disputes between employers and bosses. The last one is here's some examples. So for example, you could look at a place like a school or I guess even like a prison, and there's going to be this pattern of authority, right? Some people are in authority, other people are not. And a conflict theorist would view that relationship as a power play. Whereas a functionalist might look at a teacher and a student and say, well, they're just working together to achieve a common goal, right? The teacher wants the student to succeed and graduate, and so does the student, and they're supporting each other in that. Another big category is feminist theory. Basically, particularly if you've taken Nikki's class, feminist theory focuses almost exclusively on bridging the gap between the rights and privileges that men have versus women. And here's a quick video to go over conflict theory. This one focuses mainly on Karl Marx's idea of conflict theory, but we can extend this to our everyday life too as well. All right, last one, interactionist perspective. You might also see this as interactionism. This one is the micro view, so we're not looking at big things like government and economics. We're looking at small things like people-to-people interactions. This was founded by Max Weber. It focuses on how people get along. They're interested in the way people respond to everyday situations, and also the meaning that we attach to the actions of others. We talked a lot about this today. So one of the ways that we attach meaning is symbols. So you can think of any symbol, and most people, if you have background knowledge and you see a symbol, you instantly attach meaning. So, you know, if I say American flag, you instantly have a picture in your head and you know what that stands for. That stands for freedom or patriotism or our 50 states, our country. And at the very bottom, you can see some of the topics of interest. All focus on interpersonal things, so child development, relationships. Let me see if I can squeeze this in here. Yeah, so relationships within small groups. Make this smaller. There we go. Moving on, here's some examples. So, go through this really quickly. There we go. Oh, and this one, the very bottom, mate selection, is just like, how do you choose a mate or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a wife? What goes into that? It seems kind of normal and simple, but it's really not. It's kind of this big, elaborate dating and marriage and child rearing is kind of this big, complicated mess of human interaction. So some examples here are kind of some peer influences at school. Some examples, like I mentioned, is the American flag, or example, like booing at a concert is like, I'm not into what you're doing. And here's a quick, if you want to pause on this, here's a quick card sort, just kind of a matching activity. And we are going to do the rest of this in the upcoming days. So you can pause there. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, follow up with me.